somehow I doubt you'll have Angela Merkel quoting anything from this anytime soon.
Well, darn.
I'm on the phone with Anne from PvP Podcast, and in a little bit of a break between the 4th and 5th generation Pokemon movies, we're going to be discussing some European Pokemon music, some music that came to us from Europe, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I picked out some stuff from the anime, as well as some game music that may have originated in Europe. We're not 100% sure. We're going to be talking about some stuff from the German dub of the second Pokemon movie, some stuff from the Italian dub, and also some remixes of music from Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium. So that gives you a loose idea of what we're going to be covering here. So I'm going to go first, and I've picked out a couple of things from the German soundtrack to Pokemon 2, The Power of One. So no, it's not Pokemon 2000, because in territories where the second Pokemon movie launched after the year 2000, in other words, in early 2001, the movie was called Pokemon 2, which leads to, I guess, a little bit of a funnier subtitle there, perhaps. But in any case, the German version of the movie has a couple of unique tracks. They're both performed by a musician called Tommy Thompson, no relation to the former governor of Wisconsin, which may give you an idea of how much difficulty I had finding any information on the production side of this. But he does Du Bist Nicht Allein, You Are Not Alone, and he also does the German version of Pokemon Welt, or Pokemon World as we know it here in the States. That latter one might not seem too interesting, but we're going to have some things to say about the German version of it. First off, let's start with Du Bist Nicht Allein. Now, I don't know exactly where this fits into the credits, if it replaced The Power of One in the actual end credits sequence, or if it did something else or something like that. But basically, this is kind of a very poppy song. It's got sort of a, I don't know, man. It's not rock. It's maybe pop rock, something like that. Is that about the genre you got for it?
Yeah, like I was definitely thinking very pop dance, but you're right. There's a few elements that might be classified as rock too. Maybe we're talking sort of pop alternative. It's hard to classify exactly, but pop is definitely the leading vibe.
Yeah, I would definitely give you that there. And as far as the actual lyrics, I did look those up. I did take German in middle and high school, but my language skills are nowhere near good enough to give a sort of a full dissertation on the lyrics there. But I did look those up. I didn't find... It talks about sort of like journeying to the world of Pokemon, sort of. The translation on Bulbapedia uses the term kidnap, which I don't think is what the original German writer probably meant there.
I love it.
But sort of being whisked away to the world of Pokemon and sort of what you can accomplish there and what you can do. I don't know if, Anne, if you read through the translation, but I didn't really get, to be honest, much of a connection to at least the main movie there. There wasn't so much of a focus on, compared to the English Power of One, sort of the coming together and each person's individual strengths and stuff like that. What do you think there?
I totally agree. In fact, I almost got a vibe that connected more with the short. Like, remember a lot on the English soundtrack, a lot of those tracks were like Wonderland and stuff about like falling into another world in the way that the Pokemon kind of fell out of their reality and into somewhere else to go rescue their friend or whatever. Like the idea of being kidnapped and whisked away to another place kind of called that short, the Pikachu short, back to me more than anything that happened in that actual movie. So other than like the general sense of Pokemon being kind of an escapist fantasy story, yeah, I felt a little disappointed from what the title was of like You Are Not Alone. Like I was expecting a straight up like soulful ballad about how like you're standing together with all your friends to achieve great things. It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's terrible or anything. I certainly...
Oh, no.
I don't regret listening to it. And it should be noted that there is an alternative version with kind of a, I don't know, more laid back, more ballady arrangement for the instruments. Did you get a chance to listen to that one, Anne?
I did not, but I have a feeling I would appreciate it much better. Like, I did enjoy kind of the more upbeat and like all the put your hands up in the air, but I do think that second arrangement you're talking about probably fits the mood of the movie, like when the end credits are rolling a little better, because they're very serious, those images that you're looking at visually.
Yeah, no, definitely there's a lot of reflection going on, and I think that's one of the things The Power of One does very well, is it makes you sort of, not super overtly maybe a little sort of, think about the movie you just seen. And I don't feel like I said, something is obviously lost in the translation, and unfortunately I wasn't able to dig up much information. I think the not only the artist, but some of the production staff, I think there's Mike Michaels is listed as like the producer, and let's see, MM Dollar, which is just sort of a way of saying $1 million, and like was not able to get anything. I think the most I found is that I think a couple of those people were in a somewhat oddly named musical group called like Musical Instructor. Like that was, it was, the name was in English, I guess, or that was an album title or something they had worked on, but really, unfortunately, was not able to find out much more about any of this. If anyone out there does have some information on the production side of this, that would be very much appreciated. But as far as like the alternate remix version of Du Bist Nicht Allein, I'm not really sure how it was released. There must have been some sort of radio single, but it's not on the the Pokemon 2 album that I have from one of the German-speaking countries. It's not on there. But Anne, did you have any thoughts on that version of it?
I don't believe I found the alternative remix version that you're talking about. I did find an official music video that was not Pokemon themed at all, although it did have that it was for the Pokemon movie in the credits, but it sounded so similar to the movie track that I think it was probably the same. So I think I found not what you're talking about.
I see. Yeah, well, I always do kind of wish that The Power of One had a music video, or that they had recut one of the Flying Without Wings music videos and with scenes from the movie. So I guess that's one thing the Du Bist Nicht Allein has over the English soundtrack. But somehow I doubt you'll have Angela Merkel quoting anything from this anytime soon.
Well, darn.
All right, well, we did mention that Mr. Thompson did do another song on there, and that's Pokemon Welt, which is the German version of Pokemon World. And we wouldn't normally bring this one up, except that the version that is on the soundtrack, at least, has very different backing instrumentation. The vocals have a fair bit of resemblance to the Youngstown Nobody's Angel version you would hear in the English dub of the second movie, but the background instruments are extremely different. Now, I'm not sure if this was something the German folks did, because I don't actually think so, because I'm looking at the album credits, which are pretty much all in English anyway for some reason. But it does say like all of like the arrangement and instruments credits go like to Neil Jason and Jeff Golub. I'm not sure exactly if I pronounced that right, but those are the same folks who did the instruments on the English version and the arrangement. Unfortunately, I don't think I knew about this disparity when I interviewed Neil Jason a couple years ago, but maybe I'll ask him at some point if I ever get to see him again. But as far as this alternate instrumentation, it seems a little more laid back, I would say, than the one from the opening sequence in the English version. What do you think, Anne?
I was thinking GarageBand, like not the Apple program, like legit a bunch of dudes in a garage banging. Like there's just something very indie and punk about those opening drum beats that I quite like. It's an interesting choice, and it sounds like there's quite the story behind how that particular instrumentation got chosen. I wonder if they used maybe a demo instead of the final processed pop version or something.
Yeah, it's definitely a mystery to me, because based on just the credits, I would have to assume that this was an alternate instrumentation that was recorded at some point. Mm-hmm. Whether it was recorded originally for the English version and just not used there, maybe it was an alternate, or maybe they intended to put some sort of remix thing out there besides just what they did for The Power of One. I guess my one kind of criticism is maybe I do still think the guitar in this alternate instrumentation is a little more distorted than I would like. It's not awful, but it's got more of a harder edge than I think really quite fits the song.
I agree. If there were slightly different lyrics, I think I would appreciate it more. And it being in German, and I don't speak German, like, I think I'm more inclined to like the overall effect. Like, just gives me some revolver held type feeling. But yeah, like knowing what the lyrics are in English, it makes me feel a little bit of dissonance. But it does fit. I like I said, the drums feel like very Indian garage, the overly distorted guitar. Again, I feel like they fit together in the sense of if they're going for that vibe of like 16-year-olds rocking out in their parents' basement, they've nailed it. But it doesn't quite fit the image I have of this song and its lyrics and its meaning. So
one thing that occurred to me while listening to it is maybe this arrangement is better suited to, say, the ending credits of a Pokemon movie rather than the other version, which I think fits better with that opening sequence, at least the one that they use in the second Pokemon movie. What do you think, Anne?
Yes. Yeah, as soon as you said that, I would like to try that out. I think you might be right. Like, even just switching this song and Bist Nicht Allein, however you know how to pronounce it, I don't. Switching those two songs, I think would be really interesting. I'd like to pull up like a video editor software and see if that works a little better, maybe. That's
actually taking it a bit further than what I had in mind, actually, but kind of interesting.
Well...
I did also want to ask, there's a secondary artist mentioned in the things here. It says Tyra is, I'm guessing, the person who does the female rapping vocals that you hear throughout the song. I mean, there's some of that in like the English version, but there's definitely more of it here. Any thoughts on that?
I like it. Like it's kind of hard to give a lot of thoughts because mostly I'm just looking at this track like, wow, that is so interesting. I would have never thought to do that and to play this instrument that way and to use that vocalist that way. So I don't know that I can say if I like one better than the other. I don't know if my thoughts are, much deeper than that is so interesting. I really like, though, just they're using so much from the original track, but yet it is so different. So I really applaud that. And the vocalist is part of that. Just another way that they're taking something we know and going in a slightly different direction.
I guess the last question I got to ask, let's suppose that this arrangement did exist for the English version. And not only that, but there is a Youngstown Nobody's Angel English equivalent of this arrangement with, say, possibly with all that rapping and stuff. Would you want to hear that?
Yes. Yes, I would. Because it would be different. I don't know that I would necessarily love the result as much as I love some of the songs we already have. But I always kind of lean towards Pokemon music and Pokemon in general, just being willing to go out on a creative limb. And this is definitely that.
Keep listening for more from this interview.